Ah, goodness, thank goodness Tony Stark reversed his snap so we can finally finish this WrestleMania podcast, right, guys?
Yeah, let's go with that.
I don't feel so good.
Hello, everyone. This is Dukect CT, and with me I have Writrzblok.
Hey guys, how's it going? Nice to be
And-
back in existence.
And we have the one and only Rowdy C from TV Trash.
Yo and hello once again.
And now we will continue this is part 2 of our WrestleMania 35 podcast. Yes, it was that long. So anyway, let's get up to the WWE Championship match. Kofi Kingston with Big E and Xavier Woods taking on the Planet's champion, Daniel Bryan, with Rowan.
Yeah, this was the match that I thought had the most vested interest in, because this was one where, for the most part, they got the entire build up right. I love the fact that you basically had someone who got over completely organically in Kofi Kingston, was someone who didn't anticipate was going to be a factor in the championship run, but they saw how well he was received in the Elimination Chamber match back in February. They decided this one, they just had to run with it. I love the fact that throughout the entire storyline, Xavier and Big E were all behind Kofi and were completely not only supporting him, but doing what themselves felt was the absolute doing whatever was necessary to get Kofi the championship. And just everything, it may have been truncated quite a bit because they only had like about 6 weeks to pull it off, but that aside, just about everything they did with it was handled about as perfectly as it could have been, in my view.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And it was the story and everything else built up about it. And the one thing I loved about it is that there was no swerves. There was no, oh my gosh, they're going to betray each other. No, it was something simple. You had two friends who wanted to help another one of the friends who've been there in this company for so long to get to that position, to finally get to that to mountaintop. And the way they did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I loved about the story, is that the selflessness and the pushing and it builds up backstories. Like, it was every time they said, my job, like Xavier Woods said his job is to get Kofi Kingston to be WWE champion. He said it back in 2014. And then seeing that match and everything in that match started out slow, but it got bigger and better as it went on. And I'm like, wow, this was great. And everything in the moment just clicked. Everyone played that part well.
Oh yeah, I would easily call this like match of the night. The build up was fantastic. Everything was, like you said, it was for as quickly as they had to put it together. It was probably about as good as it was going to get. Although I kind of wish they solidified Kofi as the challenger, maybe a week sooner. But I can definitely see how Big E and Xavier's willingness to sacrifice their own bodies and their own essentially their lives to make Kofi's to make sure Kofi can go to WrestleMania and wrestle for the title. That definitely shows a different kind of build up there. And like I said, there was no swerve. Nobody was trying to screw anybody over, which is refreshing. Because usually with these types of things, you got somebody trying to backstab, trying to screw somebody over, but not here. It was pure positivity. It was true brotherly love. It was true friendship, and I don't think we see enough of that from pro wrestling, at least not in WWE.
Oh no, it was so refreshing. It reminded me so much of the old school wrestling, what it used to be. Bad guy does, builds up, and then the hero comes in and saves the day.
Mm-hmm. Send him home happy.
Yeah, And that's pretty much what you say. This, to me, one of the best matches of the entire night. And I can't say anything bad. But, I mean, that's, I'm like, I can't really say anything negative about this match. I know it's a little bit humorous as I am a fan of Kofi Kingston, as I like Daniel Bryan. I mean, heck, Daniel Bryan played one heck of a villain. And the versatility of these, of that, it's really just, it shows just really good stuff here from Kofi and Daniel Bryan. Chemistry, action, everything just worked perfectly in this match.
Absolutely.
Okay, Samoa Joe took down Rey Mysterio for the United States Championship. And that's pretty much what we all can say about that.
Yeah, it was, I know there's a lot of talk that whether or not Rey was actually physically capable of going for a long match anyway, but even still, I would say, they really needed to start showing Joe as a dominant performer again, and for that reason, this match was probably, even as long as absolutely short as it was probably exactly what it needed to be. Just Joe needed to, even on the stage of WrestleMania, needed to squash someone to reestablish how much of a dominator he really can be.
Oh yeah, he definitely needed some kind of big squash win, and unfortunately, with Rey possibly of being, if not completely injured, but not quite 100%, definitely helped with that. It certainly doesn't. He certainly hasn't been getting a whole lot of wins on TV, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, but overall, it was something surprisingly and shocking. But I'll say this, at least Rey Mysterio had a much better and competitive match than, and the one person, G1 Supercard, who had a match shorter than this, it was I can't say his name, I ruined my joke. Let's see, because I'm talking about. Let me see if I can remember the man's name. Yes, Dalton Castle. It was shorter. 15 seconds.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Well, beggars can't be choosers, so, But let's move on. We have now the big dog take on the Scottish psychopath, Drew McIntyre, in a very just physical grudge match.
This was this was a Raw match. This match could have easily been on Raw.
Yeah, and I wish they could have done more in this match. I'm not saying this was bad. I think if they had like a no disqualification match or something like that, play in the fact that maybe Roman's not 100% since coming down from this huge disease and such, maybe have Drew McIntyre saying you don't want this you don't want to say, he said, say have a last man hey, he said, I took down your brother, Shield brother in a last man standing match. I want you, if you don't want me to do that, if you want to get revenge because you want to fight me, you would do it in a last man standing match. And Roman Reigns, it could be like, you know what? Yeah, and like, you could have like, maybe Roman Reigns, is he 100%? Is he going to do this stuff? That storyline would have had a lot more weight, in this match. Have, Drew McIntyre and Roman just battle out with each other. Roman Reigns picks up the victory and, leaves all doubt that the big dog is healthy. That would have been a lot better.
Yeah, I do wonder if perhaps one of the reasons they might not have gone in that direction is because there is probably been some real-life concerns that Roman might not have the stamina to go with something as that physically demanding as a last man standing match or any type of extremely physical gimmick match of that type. It was kind of a very difficult situation, I think, overall in this particular case, because they definitely wanted to get Roman a match at WrestleMania after he got medically cleared faster than anyone probably anticipated. So they wanted him back in there. Probably, and then unfortunately a guy like Drew McIntyre kind of had to get thrown to the wolves in that regard by booking him to face Roman, in which he knew Roman was probably going to get the win for that feel-good moment. But also instead, in a situation where probably Roman still probably wasn't in absolute the type of shape he could be in to get into a more type of WrestleMania level excessive match of that type of caliber. It probably wasn't going to be quite anything that what they would have liked to have been able to do if the circumstances were better.
Possibly. Yeah, I mean, there is that, but but the quality. I mean, the thing is, it is what it is. The match as it stands was good, but it just, like I said, it felt like it could have just been on Raw. There was no oomph behind it.
Yeah, I get that. There was no oomph, but I think the match was fine. But you want to talk about oomph in this match, or oomph? Triple H taking on Bautista in a no holds barred match for 25 minutes.
That was more of a woof.
I mean, it wasn't a terrible match.
I mean, yeah.
No. Not saying that at all.
It probably did go longer than it probably needed to, for whatever it's worth. And maybe, you know what? I'm gonna say this much, what's worth. Everyone wants to point the accusation that this was a case of Triple H wanting the longest match of the night. Who knows what that case is? But this might have also been a situation where they knew this was going to be Batista's last go-round as a sports entertainer, and he announced his retirement after the match shortly thereafter on social media, as we all are aware by now. So maybe it's a situation where they wanted to give Bautista as much time as possible, because they knew this was the last ride for him. There may have been something to that.
Maybe.
Yeah, and then again, Bautista was, to me, my all-star in this match. For him tripping into, for his Uber entrance, to him tripping himself getting into the ring, to having, his nose ring getting pulled off, and I'm like, this man was like the MVP.
Oh yeah,
He was the MVP in that match, and even though it, this is some, I wish they could have done a little. I wish they could have this could have been like 14 minutes or 10 minutes. And it would have had a lot more of a. It would have been a better pace. It would have been, people would have been like, hey, you know what? We saw the big stuff. But at the end of the day, I think the match wasn't too terrible. But there was some really good stuff here. I like the fact Ric Flair came back as just like saying, hey, you know what? Get Bautista, a bit of revenge on him. And I love the fact that Triple H had that nice little Superman slash like sledgehammer punch to lay down Bautista for the monster before he gets his first victory.
Superman sledge. But I mean, the match was fine. It was as intense as it needed to be, although the pace probably could have been picked up a little bit. But then again, you got two guys who are like, one's pushing 50, the other, I think they're both pushing 50. But they're still in much better shape than my fat ass. But regardless of all that, it was fine. The nose ring bit, I was like, ugh, everybody did their, squealing bit about it, and it's just, I mean, because it's a good spot. It was a good spot. Bautista sold it like it was just death, and it was just, it was okay. I mean, I don't regret the match happening. I just think it could have been a little bit punchier.
Oh yeah, it should have been a little bit more punchier, but I think a little shorter, and people would have a lot more positive things to say about the match. But as it stands, it was a little too long in the tooth. But yeah, it was fun at the end of the day, but again, way too long. Next up in his final match, Kurt Angle takes on Baron Corbin, still wearing his TGI Fridays server outfit, because maybe that's his like second job. I don't know.
I mean, I'm still going to give him some slack for this, because our buddy Rosenthorn, he once took me to see a PWG event a couple of years ago, and I saw a guy there wrestling in a bright purple three-piece suit. So take that for what it's worth. And as far as the match itself goes, I know a lot of people were disappointed in the result, but I gotta give Kurt Angle quite a bit of credit if you really wanted to put someone else younger over in his final match. He kind of went out in the proverbial professional wrestler kind of way.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. he went up. He definitely went out with a pro. But it's one of those things where the problem is that that Baron Corbin. Yes, you are supposed to hate him because he's a heel, but the thing is, he's just he has what they call in the business go away heat. You know, it's not about like wanting to hate him, like cheering, going boo, we hate you. No, it's get the fuck off the screen. I don't want to fucking see you.
Well, like I've said a number of times, that's almost, in this day and age, that's almost the only type of heat a guy can get nowadays. I've quite some time now.
Oh yeah, that's true. I think there's nothing really, and Corbin, I think he has the personality to really get people to be cheer against him. I mean, listen to his stuff on, I think the long defunct Talking Smack, or see other interviews places. He seems like a really laid out guy. Someone could really that type of, you could really have that. But I think the problem is that, again, I don't think the way is the script writing, or he just can't really do it on the screen on Monday Night Raw.
That, and I don't think that, and his voice. He can't really do much about the voice, but I mean his voice doesn't really scream badass. The way he talks, he doesn't come off as a badass. He comes off as essentially a tall, lanky chicken shit. Which you can have a chicken shit heel. Honestly, I think we need more of them. But I don't know. It's just like for me, Corbin just rubs me the wrong way, and I don't mean that in in a good heel sort of way. I know that sounds weird, but I don't know. It's just he every time I see him on the screen, I just mute.
Yeah, I can see why he can't be that type of grating to the point of just saying not just mute, but turn off the television. And he can be quite boring. And
yes.
That's
and that,
just
the one fucking rest hold he knows. Yeah.
Well, but again, I think that's the.
That may be the point, but there's heels that are entertaining to hate, I guess. I don't know. I mean, as far as the match itself, the match was fine.
Yeah, I think it was fine, but it was just wrong. I mean, if it was 10 years ago, I think this would have been a lot better. But Kurt really can I don't think he can do it anymore. It's just, but yeah, Kurt Angle loses, but he gets the last hurrah, and that's pretty much the end of it there. Next up is a match only went 4 minutes, and honestly, I think it would have went a bit longer if Triple H and Batista's match didn't go as long. Finn Balor, who looks like went with the demon and such, taking on Bobby Lashley, who looked more like a demon with his yellow glowing eyes and looked more intimidating, with Lio Rush by his side.
You look like Thriller on steroids.
And that, to me, I'm like, come on, who was you more intimidated by, Finn Balor or Bobby Lashley in that match? Lashley looked like that dude. I was like, this dude looked like he could take on anybody in the world. You believe it,
Yeah, what? Yeah, why didn't they bring in Lashley to try to take down Thanos?
Yeah.
But yeah, this dude was. But the match was fine. I thought if it was a little bit longer, I think it would have been really good. But as it stands, I'm with Rowdy here. I mean, Finn Balor, to me, he's okay, but I'm like, that finisher, that one finisher.
And how they finished that match. I mean, that the way that match particularly ended shows off just kind of the issue I had with Balor. First off, he pulls off just that unbelievable, manages to power slam Lashley.
Powerbomb
Lashley. Yeah. And then he goes just that ridiculous belly bounce off the top rope move that I'm sorry. I know, yeah, that probably in real life to him that would hurt like an MFer, but
Oh yeah.
Oh, but you know what?
it doesn't work to me as a good finisher. It just doesn't. It just doesn't look out the word I'm looking for. It doesn't like view well enough for me on television as something that can really take out an opponent enough for a 1-2-3 count.
And besides, it is the you know, I've seen better. Low Key does it better. Warrior's Way. That is how you do a goddamn stomp. I mean, you believe that they're hitting that joint, you're like, yep, that dude's done. When he hits it, you're like, he's done. Finn Balor looks like, yeah, no. It's like, no. But yeah. But this match, I would say decent, but, you know, should have more time.
It was. I thought it was fine for what it was. You know, it's the Demon at WrestleMania. You know, you got what you get what you pay for. You know, you get a really quick match, really nice match. You know, you get to see Finn Balor do some power moves, which honestly I think he needs to pull a little bit. You know, do a little bit more of those. You know, but I mean, he's got the physique for it, you know, because he looks like he lifts, but
he's got the ability to pull off some matches like that. You like to think that if he could just pull off a little more charisma on the mic and out of the ring, this guy could be the Squirrel Girl of WWE, and I mean that in a good way. But it's just kind of uneventful to watch. It's just way too methodical in a way. That's the best I could put it.
I mean, that's like a whole other that's a whole other topic.
Yeah. Perhaps.
I mean, we'd be here all night talking about like, you know, different creative decisions and how they do promos and shit.
Very well. Very well.
Oh yeah, but yeah, that's what it is. I think I wish it could have been better. But then we get to our main event as Becky Lynch takes on Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair, who is, I believe, still on that helicopter and still walking her way to the stadium, with heels on, and to face the Raw Women's Champion and WWE SmackDown Women's Champion. The winner takes all the belts. Which, yeah, I understand what they were doing. Charlotte Flair was an homage to when Ric Flair came in Starrcade, but.
Yep.
Yeah, it was like a just drained version. It was just like, it was way too long. You had to look at Charlotte staring out into space, like literally looking at nothing. And it's like, I was like, okay, she's gonna say something. It's like line, and then just does nothing, but then walks on a red carpet to the stadium. I'm like, look, I know I know the show is like at what. You know, it's going to be a little bit over because WWE doesn't care about time minutes, but, you know, people have other things to do, Charlotte. Come on.
I was thinking about, like, you know, when they take the camera off of her, she's like just sprinting through the arena, just like got the robe in her got the robe in her hands, like, you know, trying to keep it off the ground, just like hoofing it the whole way. And then she gets, you know, right before she gets to gorilla position. As far as, like, you know, looking at, like, from the helicopter, I'm just thinking, like, did they pick her from the hotel like that? But, I mean, it was a cool entrance, don't get me wrong.
Kind of had flashbacks to that movie, the old baseball movie, The Scout, in that necessity. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie. But
heard of it, never seen it.
I saw it once upon a time, but I didn't.
But I'll give my 2 cents on this. I thought, personally, from that entrance with Charlotte, having Joan Jett herself perform live for Ronda Rousey, I would say this match probably had the best entrance of all of them. And then, unfortunately, we get probably the worst, most botched finish in the history of WrestleMania. Let's be honest about that.
Boy,
yeah, there's
some stuff here, but this match, oh gosh, I'm like, you know, Charlotte and Ronda have good chemistry with each other. Becky and Charlotte have good chemistry with each other. I don't know what happened here. It match was just like boom, just everything that could go wrong did go wrong. They didn't have any. It felt like the match just went too long at some points, but it felt like it was a little too short. Ronda basically trying to kill herself, with her leg all messed up and broke her hand, and now, and then you have Becky Lynch and Charlotte. They're trying to do stuff, but and the way it was finished supposed to be, it was just a complete cluster. And
it was.
Like one of the biggest issues I've got now, if this is true with how at least WWE does business, if I'm going to criticize anything, it's this. It's nothing to do with the performers themselves, but if the referees are being told, call the match like a shoot, you're setting yourself up for a botch like this. It happened the same thing, I believe, back during the feud between Kevin Owens and AJ Styles when they were fighting for the U.S. title a couple of years back. And now you just killed your main event finish for your biggest show of the year because there's not the referees aren't told to, if there's a mess up on what's not is or isn't supposed to be the finish, you gotta compensate for it. Everyone's gotta be on the same page of this is exactly how the match is going to end. Everybody has to work to make sure we get to that finish. And if if referees aren't being told to help along with that, you're going to get a screw-up like this, unfortunately. And it did, I think, kind of take the wind out of the sails of what I thought was a very good overall WrestleMania. But that just the way that when it just ended on a sense of, wait, that was it?
Yeah, and that was the frustrating thing. And to me, the match needed to end with, honestly, the best way to do it was, Ronda Rousey tapping out to Becky Lynch. That would have been the best way to do it.
Charlotte tapping out to Becky. I think
the original plan was Becky taps out Charlotte.
Which just to me is a lame finish, and it's terrible. It's a terrible way to finish because, again, it protects the Ronda who doesn't need to be protected.
Yeah.
And honestly doesn't make sense to the story. Becky Lynch wants Ronda Rousey. Charlotte feels like she's like that, and so it's all comes together, and it all rounds up back to Survivor Series, where Becky wanted to take down the baddest woman on the planet. It does. It's there. It fits. And instead, you have her beat Charlotte, which just seems like a non sequitur. It doesn't really sit. It just doesn't sit right. It just feels like it would still be empty.
That's fair. That's a fair statement. Honestly, I kind of think there was kind of a botch in two places. The referee saw Ronda's shoulder go up, so he should have stopped the count. But at the same time, Ronda, I'm guessing she had trouble kicking out, and of course the ref's going to do what he's told. So, Bob's your uncle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it's not
a great finish, but I mean, I think the right person won. You sent everybody home happy. Well, at least until they realized, oh shit, it's 1:00 in the morning in New York, and there's hardly any transportation out.
Well, that's all. Yeah, but again, that's a whole situation you can blame the New York, New Jersey Transit Association, because, like I said, everyone wanted to throw WWE under the bus for how badly those trains were dealt with, but supposedly they had the same damn problem a couple of years back when the Super Bowl was at that exact same building. So
it's just
yeah.
It reminds me when you look, for example, when the Capitals or Nationals have their whole home, they tell the Metro here, which I can tell you stories how bad it is. They say we're gonna let this thing stay open until people could go home, make sure everyone's safe and do all that type of stuff. I mean, that right there shows, they work together. And here, well, oh dear, they didn't do that. It's like, it's just, ugh.
Oh, not even a little.
Yeah, again, it's just incompetence, and
yeah,
you know,
and then on top of that, it started raining. So yeah, it was just kind of a sucky ending all around, I guess.
Yeah, and you know, just a very bad and bland ending. You know, and it's, you know, again, the matches were good, and I think there could have been some, you know, again, it's just WrestleMania as a whole, I think it was good, but I really feel bad for the people who went there, and because I was planning to go there actually, um, and go to New York and have it, but now I'm happy I didn't because I would be there for like what? Since what? The pre-show started like at 6 or something, and I
Yeah.
would end it on like Sunday. Like it started one day, it started the other day, and people say, "Oh, WWE can't do a 2-day WrestleMania." They just did.
More or less. I mean, not only that, you probably got people that were coming in at like even earlier than that, like say
Oh.
say 3 or 4. I mean,
Oh
or
yeah. I
yeah,
remember when I went to WrestleMania 27, people were leaving to access to go to WrestleMania.
hmm
They were leaving there just to go up there at like 3 or 4 o'clock. I left around like 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock, you know, to really start, you know, watching the whole thing, which was, you know, pretty fun. It was fun, but man,
I mean, you just gotta look at which way what was the worst situation. You had, you know, what you had here in New York where people had trouble leaving versus what we had back here in DFW for 32 where people had trouble getting in the beginning because they
oh
had
yeah,
snafus with the ticket scanners and everything. And again, that's a situation I won't blame WWE on either because they have had so many problems with so many events over there in Jerry World. We could tell you stories of how many events have been completely botched playing in that Cowboys place. I'll tell you.
That is a story we will talk about for another time, ladies and gentlemen, as WrestleMania 35 is in the books. And any last thoughts on the whole event and everything? Because, you know, Writrzblok, Rowdy C.
I mean, it was a very fun event. But I'm going to tell you this. These last few weeks since then have kind of just been kind of a lull because I don't know exactly what they're building on after this. With everything they did with the Superstar shakeup, it's kind of derailed. It's deflated what my hopes had been for what they were going for, and that's probably an issue for another time. It was a pretty good climax for that, but they haven't. And I'm not sure if they know what exactly they're doing after it so far. That's probably a topic for another day, I guess.
yeah.
That's true.
Honestly, it's probably this WrestleMania was probably one of the better ones in the last couple of years. Definitely a step up from last year's. Um,
Well, at
but
least the people are cheering the guy who's to cheer the person who's actually the baby face and such.
oh well, yeah. He's like you cheer the baby face, you boo the goddamn heels. But uh, uh, as far as where they've gone since then, it's one of those things where it's kind of a case by case basis. Where overall I'm not quite sure where they're going, but you know, I guess it's just one of those things you just kind of have to stick around and wait and find out. But that's what we wrestling fans do. We stick around, we bitch, we moan, we complain, we cheer, we boo, and then we come on podcasts and talk about it.
Yeah, and you know,
Wrestling is closer to actual sports than I thought it was.
Yeah, that's about all I got to say about that.
well, my thing is that we look at the aftermath and such. I mean, it feels like it's slowed down and tapered a bit. I mean, that's the problem with WrestleMania. It's hard to continue the momentum of it, and now the storylines are concluded. You don't know what's happening next. It doesn't really know how to continue on the stories. But I think the event itself was very good, and there was so many good moments. Kofi Kingston, for one, Miz and Shane. That was another moment in such, having Miz doing a nice superplex and Shane McMahon wheezing out victory.
Yeah.
You had Becky Lynch, for what it's worth, she did win the match and main evented, and became hashtag Becky Two Belts. You had so many good stuff there. You said moments of Elias and John Cena.
Yeah.
Did we talk about that?
I think we did.
Hopefully. I will just edit it in post sometime.
Yeah.
Anyway, part 3 WrestleMania 2035. We'll talk about how great John Cena is. But yes, this was, to me, WrestleMania as a whole was fun and exciting, and there was some stuff they should trim out the fat, but that's the issue of WrestleMania recently, and hopefully next year they'll find a way to do it. Otherwise, we'll just find, I'll sail to other cleaner waters. I would say, maybe AEW, but then again, their press conference, they charging people $40 to see a press conference, so yeah, no.
Yeah. Plus by this time next year, they'll probably have their own TV deal.
Well, that's good. But anyway, that's it for the show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you also, Rowdy C, for joining me, and Writrzblok.
Yep. Yeah, thanks for having us, man.
Anytime.
All right, this is Dukect here. Peace and love. I'll see y'all when I see y'all later.